Hello and welcome back to another movie review. Tonight, I got out of work kind of early. I actually had a morning shift today, so I didn't just see one movie, I saw two. The first one being The Conjuring. When I first saw the preview for The Conjuring, it was, if you might have seen it, it's where the mother and the daughter were playing the hide-and-go clap game, which is like the weirdest version of hide-and-go-seek I've ever seen. Yeah, so she's going around and you see the arms come out of the cabinet and clap, and then she ends up down in the basement, and the hands come out and clap again. And that one actually made the movie look like it was going to be really good. And then I saw a second preview for it later, a few months later, and it looked like it was just going to be another like Paranormal Activity thing, and as much as I liked Paranormal Activity, it's just kind of getting old. So I went into this one a little hesitant because it looked like it could be good, but then the second preview kind of ruined that for me. But it actually wasn't that bad. It kind of has that whole Amityville horror type of thing, if you're into the older horror movies. Sort of a similar premise. The family moves into a new house, and they're unpacking everything, and the kids are playing hide and clap, which, yeah, you put on a blindfold, spin around like 10 times, and then count to, and then as you're counting to 10, and then everyone else runs out and hides, and you're allowed to ask for 3 claps. So right when you're done, you say first clap, and then they clap so you get an idea of what direction you're going in. And then once you kind of get to where you thought they might be, you ask for a second clap, and you have to try and find them before the third clap. So at first the mother says, no, don't play that. You guys don't know the layout of the house well enough yet. Someone's going to get hurt. But they say, no, we'll be fine, and they play anyway. So the girl's walking around the hallway, and her one sister's hiding in a closet. And when she does a second clap, she reaches out to grab her sister and accidentally bumps into part of the wall, which breaks away. So the dad comes over to see what happened, and he's like, what happened and stuff, and they look in, and it turns out there's a cellar on the house, but it was blocked off. And he's like, that's weird. I wonder why they would have blocked it off. Just kids don't play down here. I gotta go down there and make sure everything's okay, the stairs are safe, all that. There's nothing dangerous down there. So they go down there and look around, and it's just some old stuff down there, but somehow that causes all the stuff to start happening, which didn't really make sense because prior to that, when they first got there, their house is on a little lake type of thing, or a canal. And the one daughter's out looking at the water and finds this music box next to a tree or inside the tree or something. And she starts having this imaginary friend that she said she first saw in the mirror on the music box. So I thought that was what started it, but I guess somehow opening up the basement started it, which didn't make much sense. And then you find out that they call in the paranormal investigators. Well, actually the paranormal investigators are doing a talk at the community college, and the mother goes there because she's concerned. She talks to them after the talk, and then they agree to come to the house and check it out. And then they do research into the history of the house, and they find out that a lot of deaths have taken place in that house, not just one, but they all stem back to the first one, which was this lady who was killed as part of the Salem witch trial thing. I guess she was a witch, and when they were killing her, she vowed that anyone who took her land would be cursed. And of course she had a large acreage of land, and the government kind of split it all up and put different houses on it. And it turns out that people who lived in any houses on any part of what used to be her land had mysterious deaths. So it's just these random few houses around the area that no one ever made the connection because they're in the same area but they're separate. But most of them took place at this house, which I guess was the main house of the area. I think it was the one that the witch lady had actually lived in. So the house is not only haunted by this witch who's trying to get revenge, but it gets haunted by the ghosts of everyone that she killed. So there's like, the little boy is, the witch takes hold of the mothers that live in the house and feeds off of them and drives them insane to the point that they kill their children. So the little boy that's the imaginary friend ghost of the little girl is actually a boy who died in the house. And, yeah, so there's a lot of things like that. And as it goes on, the ghost gets more aggressive. It starts out just kind of like making noises, and it starts knocking things off the wall, and then at one point it actually gets really aggressive when they're trying to get the church to come in and do an exorcism. Then the ghost starts actually like grabbing the kids by the hair and throwing them around and stuff. So at first it only really touches the children, like moves them around while they're sleeping, so they're kind of like, what's going on, leave me alone, to their other sisters. And then when it starts happening during the daytime where everyone can see it, that's when they're kind of like, whoa, something's really going on here. So the church is going to okay the exorcism, but they can't get there in time, and the mother's basically about to die, or she takes one of the children, because they actually leave the house at one point, and she grabs one of the children and gets in the car and leaves the other children at the hotel and goes back to the house. So they're like, we don't have time to wait for the church. She's either your wife's going to die or your daughter's going to die. So they go back, and they're trying to stop the wife from murdering the daughter. And then the daughter goes and hides, and they end up catching the mother, and that's when the one head and paranormal investigator, he's like, I've assisted in exorcisms before, I'm going to have to do this one myself. So he performs the exorcism, and, through all of the people that are there talking to her, she manages to, like, gain her strength back to fight off the demon that's in her. And they exorcise the demon, and then everything's fine. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. It just kind of, they're, like, leaving the house, but it just kind of cuts off and then, like, goes into a caption of, like, what happened afterwards instead of just showing it. So overall, I mean, it was a decent movie, especially if you're into horror movies. A lot of the people I work with said it was really scary, and they were, like, scared, like, screaming in the theater and stuff, but I wasn't quite that far. Most of the scariness was just jump scares. But one thing that most scary movies don't do anymore is build suspense, and this one actually built suspense every so often. Of course, they cap it off with a jump scare, but, it's actually getting back to building suspense, which I like. As far as a star rating on this one, I'd probably go with a 3.5. I mean, it's, as far as a horror movie or scary movie, I don't call anything horror movies anymore, because horror movies haven't existed since the late 70s, early 80s. But as far as a, like, suspense movie or a thriller movie, or whatever you want to call it, it was fairly middle of the road as far as the story goes. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of Amityville Horror, except that had the father going crazy and killing people. But so as far as that, it's kind of middle of the road, but I actually liked it a little bit more than some of the other stuff I've seen recently, so that's why it gets a little bit more of the extra bump to the 3.5. So would I recommend it? Yes. Don't know if I necessarily recommend seeing it in the theater, because then you got to deal with all the other people there, and there was these two girls in the back that would not shut the hell up. They kept giggling through the whole movie when nothing was even funny, nothing was going on the screen, and they're just giggling to themselves. And I'm like, Jesus, would you shut up? So maybe rent it, check it out on Netflix or Redbox it or something when it comes out. Hell, buy the DVD. It's probably worth that. That way you can kind of watch it in the privacy of your own home and not be bothered by dumbass people. But yeah, I do recommend it. That's pretty much it for this one. I did see another movie tonight, so I'll be back in a couple minutes with that review. I think I might have to change tapes. This one's starting to run out. But other than that, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the movies.